Hey Sneeples, ProQuest season is upon us, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys a budget deck that costs under $100 that can get you your top 8 and maybe even the gold foil for first, and that's with Fi here. We're going to go over what's in the deck and how to play with the cards, and then in this other video over here, I'm going to explain how the deck works more extensively and show you an online game to kind of show how to pilot the deck. So stick around with us and let's get right into it.
Hey everybody, let's talk about Fi himself. He has the ability that we get to start with a Phoenix Flame in our graveyard, which is a 0 cost attack that attacks for 0. However, it does get +1 if it's on the second or higher draconic chain link, which is almost always going to be the case. But then Fi also has this ability that once per turn we can pay 3 resources, return a Phoenix Flame from our graveyard to our hand. This ability costs 1 less for each draconic link you control. That means if we have 3 draconic attacks on the chain link, then we get to pay 0 for this ability, get a Phoenix Flame from our graveyard for free, and then come in for an extra 1. This is how Fi is able to consistently go extremely wide and get chip damage in even through full blocking hands. So this is our strategy. We're going to try to do this every single turn. Let's get into the weapon and equipments. Okay, so in this build we are going to run Searing Emberblade. Some builds run Kodachi. I personally like Searing Emberblade better here. It's a draconic attack, so it does help feed into the Fi ability. It costs 2 and it must be on the second or higher draconic chain link in order to go again. That does mean that you can attack with 1 draconic card and then come in with this Searing Emberblade and it would have go again. It does cost 2, but we generally are looking to have at least 1 blue in our hand for each hand basically. So we generally can afford this. Okay, now let's talk about one of the most important pieces of equipment, and that's the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. This mask here we are going to reference a lot during this deck tech because this mask is what helps us win games. When our attack action hits, we can choose to destroy mask. If we do, we can search for a card with power 2 or less. We can banish it and then shuffle it. I'm going to get into what cards we are searching for and when we want to do this. It also blocks for 2. We generally don't want to ever block with this, but sometimes we have to. Okay. Next up is Blossom of Springs. Now, this is, the promo version. Obviously, the regular version is very, very cheap. This is just a resource when we need it, basically. It doesn't block, it doesn't do anything, but just be able to give us a resource on our turn. This is our cheaper alternative to the Tunic. However, there are decks that run this over Tunic in certain cases. So this is really not a far stretch from the competitive, high price decks that are out there. Next we have Snapdragon Scalers. This is just the classic aggro boots that we often see with aggro decks. We can destroy it as an attack reaction to give a card of ours go again. Most of our cards already have go again, but there are a few that we would need to destroy Snapdragon Scalers, and especially to get our most explosive turns, this is a card that we will use. Finally, guys, this is a $100 deck tech or deck budget deck, which means that we do have a little bit of money to spend, and I've chose to use it on the Tiger Stripe Shuko. These are a little costly. It is a legendary, but guys, this piece of equipment is so big when playing Fi. Just giving out additional pumps to all of our cards, or not, well, most of our cards I should say. I mean, the Phoenix always has a chance to get an additional pump with Tiger Stripe Shuko. It also has Blade Break for 2, so it can block it on tough situations. This is where a lot of the value is going right now, but this is a card that we can still run with all of our deck and still make it under $100. So this is an investment for sure, but it is a ninja equipment, so perhaps if you wanted to play Katsu or Benji after this. Alright, finally we're just going to get into the No Rune or the AB Arcane Barrier equipment here. We got No Rune Robe if we're facing wizards, and then we also have Tide Flippers here. which also has the attack reaction, give our attacks go again. It does have to come in with a 2 or less power to give go again, or at least its base power needs to be 2 or less. This is going to be used against like maybe Viscerai and Wizards. Okay, so let's get into the deck itself. We're going to start off with some of the finishers, and that is Lava Burst. So these are the finishers that are all able to be retrieved by Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. They're all going to have a base power of 2. So let's get into what Lava Burst does. It is a 0 for 2, but if it's played on Chain Link 4 or higher, it gets +3. So it would then be a 0 for 5, and that's very, very good. On top of that, if you played a Phoenix Flame this turn, which would come in for 1, and then this is your second card that has a base power 2 or less, now it's a 0 for 6. So Lava Burst coming in after already attacking with 4 other cards can be very crucial to winning the game, at least to turning tempo. It's just big damage coming out of nowhere, basically. All right, next up we have something a little similar but a little different at the same time. We have Salt the Wound. So Salt the Wound is a 0 for 2, another retrievable card with the mask here. It is a yellow pitch, which is sometimes relevant, and then it gets +1 for each attack that has hit this combat chain. So potentially this has the ability to come in more than Lava Burst will. So that's really nice when we're searching with Mask of Momentum, because we can kind of do the math on it and be like, okay, how many of our attack actions have hit? Has 4 of our attack actions hit? If that's the case, this is coming in a 0 for 6, possibly 7 with the Tiger Stripe Shoot goes, or this is a 0 for 5 or 6. So this is the card to grab, right? It just is another option that is very good for a game ender, or at least a tempo changer. Finally, we're going to get into our third one, and that is Phoenix Flame, or Phoenix Form, I should say. Now, Phoenix Form isn't retrievable by the mask. It is a 3 power. However, let's just go over what it is, and we'll get into how the mask does help out this card. So it's a 0 for 3, and if we control 1 or more Phoenix Flames on the combat chain, it has go again. So if we just, play our Phoenix Flame as normal from the graveyard, it'll have go again. If we control 2 or more, it'll have +2. So now it's a 0 for 5, and that's obviously very good value. And then finally, if we have 3 or more, it has, if it hits a hero, draw 3 cards, which obviously, if that hits, is just absolutely insane. Now, this deck is built around this card here, and the reason is because this is the more budget version. We are not running Artivores. We cannot afford to run Artivores. It is past our budget. So Phoenix Flame is the alternative, and so we have a deck to build around this card here. And what the mask is able to do with Phoenix Form is this actually able to grab a Phoenix Flame out of the deck. So if we already have 2 Phoenix Flames out there on the Draconic Chain Link, then we can go and grab our third one with the Massive Pouncing Link, play our third one, and then start coming in with our Phoenix Forms. All right, so there's other ways we can grab our Phoenix Flames. As mentioned, we obviously need to run 3 to be able to make Phoenix Form work. One we are going to start on the game with, or in our graveyard. That is our starter, and then the other 2 will be in our deck. Let's go into ways how to grab more Phoenix Flames. Here we have Rise from the Ashes. The next Draconic attack gets +3. It costs 0. It is a non-attack, but it also returns a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to your hand. Now, if you only have 1 in your graveyard, that's fine. You'll just return it, and then it'll just be for +1. But if you have 2 in your graveyard, then you can return 1 of them and then use Viability, get the second one, and now you're rocking with 2 Phoenix Flames, which can be quite relevant, like I said, when you only need to get 1 more with the mask to use your Phoenix Form. So there's Rise from the Ashes. Our other card we have to grab our Phoenix Flames is Flame Call Awakening. And this one says it is a 1-for-3 attack with Go Again, so it's a little costly, but it says when you attack with Flame Call Awakening, if you played another red card this turn, just a red card, doesn't have to be anything particular, so it could even be a Rise from the Ashes, then you can search your deck for a Phoenix Flame, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So here's another way to grab another Phoenix Flame. So as you can see, the deck has plenty of options on grabbing Phoenix Flame. Now let's get into kind of the bulk, into the big attacks in this deck. So we're going to start off with one of our better attacks. It's basically a board pump, and that's Spreading Flames. It is a 1-for-3 Go Again, but it has Draconic attacks you control +1 when their base is less in number of Draconic chain links you control. So your Phoenix Flame, if it came in on the first or on the second, because you played this first, right? So it came on the second Draconic chain link, it would get +1 from its own ability, but then another +1 from Spreading Flame, so it'd be a 0-for-2, which is very nice. This works for like all Draconic attacks. That is including our sword, which is Draconic. So our sword gets to get the pump as well, as long as it's on the 4th chain link. We do have to have them be a little less. This card is very good when it works, and oftentimes it does. Okay, so moving on. Next up is Blaze Headlong. This is a very, very good card. It's a 0-for-4 with Go Again, as long as we play another red card. Guys, we have a lot of red cards. We're going to be able to do that quite often. Next up is Brand with Cinder Claw. This is a 0-for-3 of Go Again, with our next attack being Draconic. This does help quite a bit. We do have a ton of Draconic attacks, but we do have attacks that aren't Draconic that we will get into. And by playing Brand with Cinder Claw first, we make that like those non-Draconic attacks Draconic. That helps build the chain link. That helps for so many different reasons, Spreading Flames, what have you. So Brand with Cinder Claw, very good. Now we're also running one yellow Brand with Cinder Claw, and the reason is because it is a 2 power. We're not searching with the mask, but it does get the, it does qualify for the Tiger Stripe Shuko pump. So that's why we play Brand with Cinder Claw yellow, and it's just a very good effect. So good that we also play blue. These are just for pitching purposes mostly, but in a pinch we can play this because that effect is very relevant at times. Now, speaking of non-Draconic attacks that we have, Double Strike. Double Strike's just a ninja, it's not a Draconic attack. So if we played the Brand with Cinder Claw first and then came with Double Strike, the first attack with Double Strike will be Draconic. So Double Strike's a 0-for-1 with Go Again, which is lackluster. However, it does have, when the chain link resolves, we can banish it and then play it again, and it'll come in for 1 again. Except, guys, this is where Tiger Stripe Shuko really shines with this card, because we'll attack with it the first time, and then it gets banished and we can play it again. And then we get to come in for 2 on the second time, which is huge. Thanks to Tiger Stripe, our Double Strikes now come in for 1 and then 2. So basically it's a 0-for-3 of Go Again, but it also adds 2 spots to the chain link. That's very good for like your Salt the Wounds. Okay, Rising Resentment. This is a 0-for-3 of Go Again. Honestly, guys, it does have an on hit. We can banish an attack action card with less, that costs less than number of Draconic chain links we control. If we do, it costs 1 less to play. Oftentimes our stuff costs 0. I don't know if you guys have been noticing that. Most of the times it's a 0-for-3 of Go Again, but in very few cases this can become relevant. We'll get into some of the cards that cost more than 0. And then finally, we do just have our basic 0-for-3 Go Again Draconic card. That's Ronin Renegade. Nothing much more said about that. Alright, so coming into some of the on hits now. The first one we'll get into is a card that does cost 1, but we generally want to play this as the first card, and that is Mounting Anger. It's a 1-for-4, which is decent, but it has an on hit that when it hits, we can banish a Draconic card from our hand and give it +1 when we play it. That's very good. I mean, it's basically just an on-hit pump, which is very nice. Even if we don't have another Draconic card in the hand, guys, we can always use Fi's ability to bring back Phoenix Flame and then banish it so that it comes in for 2. You know, that's great value, great things we want to see there. So Mounting Anger is very solid in this case. Good on hit. Let's get into our other one here. And that's Take the Tempo. We're only running 2. They are just ninjas, they're not Draconic. And it's a 1 for 5 and it does not have Go Again. But it does have an on hit that if we've hit 3 or more times his combat chain, we can banish the top card of the deck. If attack action card, we can play it the end of until the end of our next turn. This makes our next turn so much bigger. It could go from having a 5-card turn to a 6-card turn, and that's just incredible. And it's not too hard to get going either. It's basically if we did 2, or if we just attacked with our, you know, double strikes here. That's 1, 2, and then we come in and take tempo. And if you don't block that, then we get to have an extra card afterwards. So very, very good card to run. And if need be, if we really like the card that we banished, well, we'd have to do it before, but we could Snapdragon Scalers if we so wanted with this card. All right, another card that has an on hit but is not a ninja card is Snatch. Snatch is just honestly just very solid. 0 for 4 that draws us a card. We can use Snapdragon Scalers if need be, if we really want to. But we just come in with at the end, just like on Take the Tempo, we're coming at the end. We just come in at the end, and basically what this does is allow us to have an arsenal if we don't already. So 0 for 4, Go Again, with the potential of letting us draw a card to arsenal it. We're running the blues as well. These blues could get the pump from Tiger Stripe Shuko, but they also just pitch for 3, and that's kind of what is needed. But the on hit's always nice. Now let's get into a card that really helps out those cards we just talked about, Take the Tempo and Snatches, and that is Soaring Strike. Soaring Strike has an on hit where it's a 1 for 4 Go Again, but its on hit is that we can banish an attack action card. Doesn't have to be Draconic. Attack action card from our hand. If its cost is less than or equal to the number of Draconic chain links we control. If we do, it gains Go Again. Well, guys, Snatch costs 0. That's a 0 costing card. So if we just play Soaring Strike and it hits, which is a 4 attack, right? So most cards block for 3 unless they're D-reacts. So unless they put 2 cards in front of this, we're probably going to hit. Once we do, we can banish a Snatch from our hand and then be able to, now it has Go Again once we play it, and so now we're coming with a Snatch with Go Again, which is obviously very, very good because that is another on hit that your opponent just does not want you to have. So you're forcing your opponent to block here, which is always a good thing. Okay, so that is the on hits. Now let's kind of get into kind of just the, I don't know how to describe this, but it's very essential. Let's just go with that. And that's Belittle. The Belittle package that comes with Minnowism is very good for this deck, and here's why. It is a 1 for 3 Go Again. As additional cost, we can reveal attack action card that costs 3 or with 3 or less base power in our hand. That's a lot of our cards, guys. I mean, that's most of our like Draconic cards, 0 for 3s. So we can reveal one of those cards from our hand and then go search for a Minnowism, which we only run blues. We run 2 blue Minnowisms. We're not running the Minnowisms to play it. We're just running to pitch it. So if we get like an all red hand, we can pitch 1 red to play Belittle to grab a Minnowism, and now our hand like really goes off here. You know, now we can afford to play everything. So that's why we play Belittle. We're playing 3 reds. We're also playing 2 yellows. The yellows do get the Tiger Stripe pump, so that's always nice. And then we have 2 Minnowisms that are blue Minnowisms that we grab just to pitch, Never played until maybe at the very end of the game. All right, now we're gonna get into the blues, and these blues are just to pitch and possibly block with. What we want out of our blues, they do need to have a good on hit, like some of the ones that we saw like brand with center cloth, or they need to block for 3. And so that's what we're gonna see. A blue that blocks for 3 that we could even play a 0 for 2, but we won't. It's just a blue that blocks for 3. Here's another one with Lava Vein Loyalty, 0 for 3. Could get played if need be. And then we have Soul Beach Strike, and that's another 0 for 3. That does have an on hit to go again. Like I said, we just mostly pitch or block with those cards. We run about 18 blues because we do want at least 1 blue in our hand for the most part, just so that we can always come in with the sword and then pay for like a Mounting Anger or take tempo, what have you. Okay, so now I'm going to get into just the sideboard cards. There's only 5 here. Obviously, you want to try to get down to 60, but Sink Below is a card that we are going to bring in against the Guardians just to stop some hammer. Sometimes they have some detrimental attacks like Crippling Crush, and so being able to stop some of that and just stop the crush effect is necessary at times, so that's why we will have Sink Belows for that matchup. And then for the Icelander matchup, which is a big hero right now in the meta, the Energy Potions, being able to be a blue to pitch to do Arcane Berry is very nice, or being able to play it to have 2 resources when we need it is very good in that matchup.
Okay guys, so that is the budget version of Fi. Like I said, if you're interested in this deck, be sure to check out the other video mentioned before. It'll help just to kind of explain how the deck works even more extensively so that you can get your top 8. I hope you guys get it. I hope we get some gold foils. And as always guys, leave a comment if you have any concerns, questions, comments, whatever. Till then, keep on fabbing. See you on the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like this shirt or the others we have just like it, we sell shirts and keychains and more to come. Go to fleshandbaubles.com. Enter the promo SNEEP and you get 10% off your entire order. Some really cool stuff, some really cool gift ideas. We would really appreciate your help supporting us. Thank you.